Hey there, it's another beautiful day. You want to hear a story? So I got fired yesterday, which is quite an accomplishment considering that I own the company. But remember a few weeks ago I had a back issue and I got an MRI and I finally got the results. And it's a whole bunch of not good things listed on there. And the doctor says that it's just arthritis, but Dr. Google said something completely different. So I have an appointment to discuss this next week, but my husband looked at me and he's like, you're fired. So I'm actually on administrative duty because I can't do stuff in the field anymore, no heavy lifting, pushing, pulling, all that fun stuff. But since it's administrative duty, and I was already doing all of the administrative stuff before, I guess I actually got a promotion. So I got a promotion yesterday. That's enough about me. Let's watch some stuff.
So in late 1955, the chief of the U.S. Office of Naval Research received a bizarre manila envelope in the mail. The sender of the envelope was anonymous, and inside of this manila envelope, the admiral found a book titled The Case for the UFO, Unidentified Flying Objects by the author Morris K. Jessup. And in the book, Morris urged his readers to pressure their political leaders into funding research for Einstein's unified field theory. This theory, he believed, could be apparently used to create new kinds of spacecraft propulsion systems, including an anti-gravitational method. And this would lead to new methods of space travel that could possibly put humans in contact or figure out how these UFOs actually traveled.
But since it's too early to release this kind of technology, the government is waiting for further advancements so that they can monetize it and then release it to the public.
You know what's hilarious about this whole cosmic disclosure thing? They finally told everyone that aliens are real. I'm glad that y'all caught on. And there's been so many videos of people being like, like nobody really cares. It's like they announced this huge thing and everybody's just like, oh, okay, whatever, next. Duh. Like that's what happens when you are desensitized. They have been feeding drops and drops and drops of this information for so long that when they finally did tell everyone, this is the reaction that they actually wanted from people. They succeeded. No mass panic. People aren't in the streets friggin' terrified and like, oh my God, like they succeeded in what they were trying to do, which is to tell people that this is here, this has been happening, they exist without the chaos. So the joke's really on you guys, really.
I never really even considered it that way, but that is so right on the money. They're like, oh, here's a little tidbits, and then let them out, let them be conspiracy theories, get the people talking about it. Let's throw a few movies in there, a few, secrets about aliens landing on the planet and these secret bases and stuff like that. And then, oh, hey, by the way, it's real. And then nobody's surprised. There's another video that I saw. I'm going to look for it and I'll probably end up bringing it to you tomorrow, but it's about how when you go down a rabbit hole, right? You find a conspiracy theory and you start digging, all of the information that you are going to find is being fed to you by the government. So therefore, when you get to the bottom of that rabbit hole, you're not surprised. Or you find out and you're telling everybody and everybody's like, yeah, because everybody's being fed the same information. And then when it comes to light, everyone's like, oh yeah, we knew that. And then they're like, whew, that went over well. Hey, thanks so much for joining me today. If you're having a good time, please hit that like button and consider subscribing. Then come back tomorrow because I'm making a new video every day.
Barge hits bridge in Galveston, Texas, causing an oil spill. It seems we have a pattern forming here. 2023 was train derailment and 2024 might just be bridge collisions. The Pelican Island Causeway Bridge was struck by a barge, causing a train rail section of the bridge to collapse onto the barge. Now, the collision happened around 10 a.m. The lift bridge, which spans the west end of the Galveston Ship Channel, connected Galveston Island with Pelican Island, the home of Texas A&M University at Galveston. The city's emergency management office, the U.S. Coast Guard, and the Texas Department of Transportation are all investigating the crash. They have also put out an alert to all students and community members saying the bridge is closed to all traffic. The bridge is the only way to drive off the dredged spoil island. Now, no injuries have been reported and the situation is still developing. Now, I'm sure this is going to end up being a tricky situation, being that the fact that all those students don't have a way to get off of the island. As soon as I have an update, I'll be letting you know. I'm AP, and until the next one, I'm out of here.
Thank you, Terry, for suggesting this video. This did just happen a couple days ago in Galveston. And it's interesting how he mentioned that now we have a whole bunch of bridge collisions, and last year there was all of the train derailments. But I think it's just because there's a focus on this particular incident. Ever since the one in Baltimore, we're like, oh, there's another bridge collapse, or there's another, collision with a bridge, and oh, let's focus on this really big. And I don't think that it's necessarily that there's suddenly more. I think it's just a coincidence, and we're paying more attention to it.
If you were wondering if scientists are actually working on those crazy sci-fi ideas, they are. Apparently, we might be one step closer to building a warp drive. Warp drives are science fiction devices that allow humans to travel faster than the speed of light, so that we could reach other planets within a few hours rather than millions of years. But one of the problems the human body has with going high speeds isn't the speed itself, but the acceleration to get to it. Like going from 0 to 60 on the highway. You can feel that push, but once you're at 60, you're fine. The idea behind a warp drive is that instead of moving through space and getting crushed by it, space moves around us in a warp bubble. The problem is when we talk about building one, things like negative mass and negative energy comes up, which has never been observed in real life. However, researchers at the Advanced Propulsion Laboratory have possibly found a way to build a warp drive that works within the known laws of physics, using what they call a constant velocity subliminal warp drive. And major science and tech magazines are calling this a breakthrough, which I think is interesting because every article I've read about it has not at all described how it really works. So I read the paper, and from what it sounds like, the key was adding vectors and modifying the shell. They suggest a shell made of normal matter instead of dark matter or whatever movies say, and then adding a bunch of shift vectors, all of which will amount to a lot of micromanaging of space that would require a ton of energy to initiate and maintain. AI. Regardless of the breakthrough, we currently do not have the technology to physically build this thing, but if we can model it, that would be pretty helpful. It's kind of like Howard Stark giving his son the blueprints to make a new element because he was limited by the technology of his time. If you're into this sort of thing, the paper is in my sources below. It is not a casual read, but for those of you interested, let me know what you think.
Well, that is a start. It's a start. It's an idea. I mean, like she said, it doesn't say how it actually works, just some fundamentals and some ideas and a potential model, sort of. Just we don't have the technology available to do it. That's typically how science goes. We're like, oh, I have an idea. How do I do this? This cannot be done right now, but eventually, perhaps, maybe it will be able to be done. Just like the cryogenics, right? All those people are frozen right now, waiting to be unfrozen and have their buckets unkicked because they kicked the bucket before they got frozen. So now they're frozen, hoping science can advance and wake them up. So kind of like that. So they've got an idea for a warp drive, which is fantastic, of course. And yeah, we'll see how it goes.
I'm sorry whoever needs to hear this, but if you listen to frequency music, stop listening to 432 hertz. It is not what they say it is. It is not backed by science. It is not a miracle tone. It is not harmonious with our energy. It doesn't balance our chakras. It's not a part of the solfeggio scale, and it's not a part of the perfect circle of sound. It's a lie to keep us off of the truth and to keep our energy disharmonious and to keep us from awakening. If you'd like to know the real truth, look at the solfeggio scale. It looks like this. Nowhere on this scale do you see 432 hertz. I wonder why. Now, if you want the real miracle frequency, the one that can repair your DNA and bring unconditional love into every single aspect of your life, please look up 528 hertz, the resonant frequency of love and the resonant frequency of chlorophyll. All of my music is tuned to this frequency, and there's plenty of others who do that as well. Hope you have an amazing day. Peace.
Just as I learn one frequency is supposed to be healing, and that's like the magic frequency, somebody comes out and they're like, no, that's not the right one. You need to listen to this frequency. I know that 440 supposedly is what like music apps are played at, and it's supposed to make your brain like more submissive or something like that, a little more controllable. But other than that, the 432 and I don't know. I'm gonna wait a couple more weeks because I'm sure it'll change again. I can't keep up.
Holy shit, somebody finally found the confiscated video that the FBI took on the day of 9/11, where it was proving it wasn't a plane, it was a SCUD missile. There was talk amongst the community, because I've been awake for 20 years since this happened, that there was a SCUD missile. The witnesses were silenced. The person who had this tape that turned it over to the FBI concealed this information, and as you can see, that is not a plane. That is a SCUD missile, as originally thought. Fucking deep state cabal, you sons of bitches. Those who knew, we already knew you did shit, but this was the last piece of the puzzle for the evidence. For that whole entire crap with the 9/11 report that said it disintegrated. That is a SCUD missile. Swedish satellite saw that there was a marking target, and that was completely put aside, and you all bought the lie. Heavenly Father, let truth prevail.
So a while back, I did some 9/11 conspiracies. And I will link that video in the description below. Check it out. It's kind of neat. And this one kind of ties in with that because on September 10th, right before the terrorist attack, Donald Rumsfeld said that they like lost track of $2.3 trillion. And that supposedly is the place where they were tracking this money, right? And surprise, surprise, here's this attack. Everybody thinks it was an inside job and that they hit the Pentagon in that particular area. I mean, the US did it in that particular area with a SCUD missile. So I had never heard of that theory. I am absolutely amazed with the footage that we just saw there, and that's crazy. That's a whole different level of wow. It really is.
Gather around because I'm going to tell you the story of Zuzvi, a recently named rock in our solar system that has brought me so much joy. Zuzvi was previously known as asteroid 2002 VE68, and it is a quasi-satellite of Venus. I had never heard of quasi-satellites, and they are so cool. These are objects that orbit around the sun like any other asteroid, but they have something a little special. If we imagine tracing the motion of a quasi-satellite out relative to a planet, it will look as if the asteroid is in fact orbiting around the planet. It's not, it's orbiting around the sun, but it's moving at almost exactly the same rate as the planet, and it has an orbit that crisscrosses over the planets. This means that if you're watching from the planet's surface, it's going to look like it's moving around you like a very, very slow-moving moon. Zuzvi is a quasi-satellite of Venus, meaning Venus almost has a moon, but not quite. As this name might suggest, this object was discovered way back in 2002, so why am I talking about it now? Well, it's all thanks to Latif Nasser, a co-host of Radiolab. He was looking at his kid's poster and saw this. And after realizing that Venus doesn't have a moon, he went through an incredible amount of research to try to figure out what the heck was going on with that weird little object. Like I mentioned, I had never heard of quasi-satellites, and neither had most people, even though Earth has at least 7 of its own. Given the font, he initially mistook this to say Zuzvi instead of 2002 VE. This whole thing led Latif to propose to the International Astronomical Union that 2002 VE68 be renamed Zuzvi, and on February 5th, they approved it. The misreading of a poster has turned into the actual name of Venus's almost moon, and I think that is incredible. I've just found this whole story so fun and wonderful, and I've learned a lot from it, so I just had to share it with y'all. There is so much cool stuff just floating around in our cosmic backyard.
And I just shared that with y'all for the exact same reason. I thought it was super interesting. And I just learned about quasi-satellites not too long ago as well, and I was like, oh, we have a second moon, and I was blown away, and now they're thinking that Venus may potentially, have a moon, kind of. but it's not really, right? So yeah, that's pretty cool. Zoosby.
Do you know Disney has a club, Club 33, where you have to pay 6 figures just to join? You pretty much have to be invited. It's a very exclusive club. The only real benefits of this club are like these secret restaurants in Disney.
Oh, I heard those are good, though.
You don't want to know what's on that menu. Apparently, there's a club within that club where they throw private parties for the elite, the ultra wealthy. People have like snuck in and taken pictures inside these places, and they have like artwork and statues of Baphomet.
I was thinking Boba Fett.
And they say that Walt Disney, in his parks, created a bunch of secret passageways, and there can be access through the Club 33 rooms. Why would they even need secret passageways in these kingdoms?
So I am finding different information on this Club 33. There's one that says it's $35,000 up front and then $15,000 every year. There's another one that's 25 up and 10 per year. I'm seeing 25 up and 12 per year, and that's just for Disneyland. And then Disney World is much more expensive, but that's pretty crazy. At first I thought there's no way, but yeah, there's a Club 33 inside of Disneyland, and it's for the super elite, I guess. And then the elite have to pay more for what?
Take a look at this being. Does it seem familiar to you? If so, you may have had an encounter with a blue avian. About 2.5 billion years ago, blue avians are said to have evolved from a different universe, can now be found throughout our solar system and many other planets throughout the galaxies. The blue avians are a peaceful and ancient, non-physical, extra-dimensional race of beings that exist beyond the confines of space and time. They are humanoids and can range from anywhere between 6 and 8 feet tall. Blue avians act as a single entity, which means they are a part of one consciousness. Are known as the harbingers of human ascension, and the messengers and facilitators of the one infinite creator. These beings were said to have visited Earth over 1 billion years ago in spacecrafts that were as big as small planets. They are known to act as guides for individuals who choose to protect life and grow through a path of love. They usually manifest in a bird-like form through dreams to individuals who are open and ready to receive the message that they have for us. Go to part 2 to find out what that is.
So I found several different backstories for these blue avians, but they're kind of all along the same pathways as they exist in our space, but not at our wavelength or our frequency or even our dimensions. But when you astral project or you try to ascend or you change your frequency, that's when you can see them and they're there to assist. So that's pretty neat. With that being said, I'm going to call it for today. Thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate every single second of your time. Come on back tomorrow. We'll watch some new stuff. I'll say different things and it'll be fantastic. Until then, have a wonderful day.